Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English, and this is Mukesh Soni, your favorite YouTuber. Friends, in this video I'm going to have a discussion of an important question paper, that is the third semester BA or BSW Generic English question paper for the year 2024, and the examination happened in the month of February or March 2024 examination. This question paper belongs to Bangalore North University, and the Bangalore University students can also consider this question paper as a practice set question paper or as a practice paper, because both the universities have the same syllabus. That's one of the benefits both the university students they have. So BNU students, without much delay, let's begin the discussion of the third semester BA 2024 examination question paper. So you know very well, there are two sections. The first section has the weightage for 40 marks, which consists the play The Boy Comes Home and the five speeches. And the second section has the weightage for 20 marks, which consists presentation skills, paragraph writing, letter writing, the poster or the brochure designing, as well as the advertisement writing. So to begin with, the unit number 1, 2 marks questions from the play The Boy Comes Home by A. Millen. The question number 1: how old was Philip when he went to fight against Germany? He was 19 years old. Question number 2: what, according to Uncle James, has the army not taught Philip? The army has not taught him to mind his manners. Uncle James does not want to give Philip the money because until he is a man, or until he gets some mannership. Then manners. Then in the play The Boy Comes Home, who is Mr. Higgins? Mrs. Higgins is Philip's mother. Mrs. Higgins is Philip's mother. Philip is closer to Aunt Emily than to Uncle James. Yes, he's closer to Aunt Emily. Who broke the rule regarding breakfast in Uncle James' house? It is Philip who broke the rule regarding the breakfast. What was Uncle James' business? His business was carpet business. So this is the 2 marks questions from the play The Boy Comes Home. Now we are going to have the discussion of the 5 marks questions, where you need to write the answers in a paragraph. You need to opt only 2 questions out of 4 questions. Question number 1: sketch the character of Philip. Philip, the main character in the play The Boy Comes Home, written by A. Millen, is a young man returning home after serving in World War One. Although he has been through the harsh realities of war, he still feels like a boy in many ways. For example, when Philip first arrives, he acts impulsively, arriving late for breakfast, which breaks the household rules set by his Uncle James. This shows his childish and rebellious nature. He struggles to adjust to the more formal and disciplined environment of his family, especially when his Uncle James criticizes him for not learning manners in the army. Philip's behavior, like his reluctance to change out of his uniform and his casual attitude towards house rules, reveals that he is still caught between the carefree attitude of youth and the expectations of adulthood. Then, despite his rebelliousness, Philip is a sensitive character who wants to be accepted by his family. He is closer to his Aunt Emily, who is more understanding of him, unlike his strict Uncle James. For example, when Philip feels misunderstood by his uncle, it is Aunt Emily who shows him kindness and gives him emotional support. Philip's desire for validation and approval is clear when he looks to his family for reassurance, especially after his military experience. Through Philip, the author shows how difficult it can be to return to family life after life changing experience like war, and how hard it is to balance the innocence of youth with the responsibilities of adulthood. So, this is about the character sketch of Philip. Friends, you may have some disturbance because it's quite prime time for the traffic. So, what is the importance of dream scene in the play The Boy Comes Home? Dream scene, it's a very important scene. In the play The Boy Comes Home, Philip returns to his uncle's house after absence. So after 4 years, he has come back. There, he is welcomed by the strict adherence, strict rules by his uncle's irrational rules. Philip's father has passed away, and Uncle James is now his guardian. Uncle James wishes to discuss Philip's future with him on the first morning following his arrival. The very next day, he wants to discuss. Uncle is an old-fashioned man with traditional views on how to treat young children. He believes he can order Philip to do whatever he wants. He's a short-statured man with an unimpressive physical appearance, but he has cocooned himself in severity. His inner weakness clashes with his outward severity, causing him to have a strange dream. Then because of his unconscious fear and insecurity, he sees Philip as a rude and bullying boy who tries to get his demands met with the threat of a gun. His nightmare is filled with the violence and threats. He sees himself completely subjugated in the face of his arrogant nephew's terrorization and the use of weapons. He imagines Philip as a brazen and impertinent man who will go to any kind of length, any extent. Uncle James is so engrossed in his dream that he is unable to recognize that it is merely a fantasy. Uncle is negatively influenced by the dream. When Philip speaks to him in real life, he acts in a very kind and very considerate manner in order to avoid the menacing situation of the dream. Uncle James' conscious and unconscious minds merge to form his dream, which then directs his subsequent real attitude. So that's the importance of the dream. Question number three, describe The Boy Comes Home as a comic play, or we can also sometimes the question appears that element of humor in this play. So the play Boy Comes Home is a very light comedy. Very firstly, we find comic element at the beginning of the play. Philip's, Philip comes down for breakfast at 10 o'clock, whereas the breakfast is served at 8 a.m. That's a rule at the house. Philip asks Mary, the parlor maid, to bring breakfast. Mary tries to frighten him and saying, I'm sure I do not know what Mrs. Higgins will say. She starts repeating this sentence, and this sentence creates a lot of humor. Mrs. Higgins comes and shows her anger. However, Philip handles her so artfully that she has to tell a lie to save her job. She says, who said anything about going? There's a great difference between how she comes and how she goes. This situation is very funny and makes us laugh. Then secondly, Uncle James tells about his sacrifices in a very funny way. He says that he has done his part for the country by giving his nephew to the country, by suffering the shortage of potatoes, by paying the excess profits tax. So his claims seem very comical. Thirdly, in the dream sequence, Philip talks about choosing a career. He says, if I'm 4 years behind, so everybody else. So after the dream, Uncle James repeats the same word. He says, well, if you are 4 years behind, so is everybody else. So at the end of the play, Uncle James' condition creates a lot of comedy when he laughs with a forced heartiness. Philip says about the strict manager, he says, perhaps I would better bring my revolver. At this point, Uncle James says, ha ha, a good joke that, ha, a good joke, but only joke, of course. So this is the comic scene in the play, a light comedy, a light humor we can see in the play, The Boy Comes Home. Then fourth question we have, okay, these are the 5 marks questions. Now we are moving towards the 10 marks questions. Here also you have plenty of choices. So question number 1 for 10 marks. How is the dispute between Philip and James, Uncle James, resolved or settled? The dispute between the uncle and the nephew gets settled. How is it resolved? Let's see how. In the play, The Boy Comes Home, the conflict between Philip and Uncle James is rooted in their differing views on Philip's behavior. Uncle James expects Philip to have matured during his time in the army and to have learned proper manners and discipline. For example, when Philip arrives late for breakfast, Uncle James scolds him for breaking the household rules, expecting Philip to behave like an adult. He also criticizes Philip for not learning anything useful in the army. He says, "You haven't learned any of the things you should have learned," which shows his disappointment that Philip has not become the man he hoped he would be. Philip, however, feels misunderstood and frustrated by Uncle James' criticism. He feels that his uncle doesn't appreciate the emotional and psychological toll the war has had on him. When Uncle James criticizes him for not having learned good behavior, Philip responds defensively, expressing that he doesn't need to meet his uncle's high expectations to be valued. For example, when Uncle James insists that he should have grown more refined during the war, Philip answers that his time in the army was difficult and that it was not about learning how to follow formal rules. So the resolution of this conflict comes gradually, with both the characters learning to understand each other. Uncle James begins to realize that Philip's experiences in the war have shaped him in the ways he may not fully understand. His harshness softens as he acknowledges that Philip is so simply being rebellious, but he is struggling with adjusting back to family life. For example, after seeing that Philip is not intentionally disrespectful, Uncle James starts to show more patience. In turn, Philip starts to appreciate that Uncle James' criticism stems from concern for his future rather than just wanting to control him. Aunt Emily plays a very important role in bridging the gap between both the persons, helping both Philip and Uncle James understand each other's perspective. So by the end of the play, although Philip has not fully conformed to the ideal man Uncle James wanted him to be, they reach a mutual understanding and expectance, showing the power of empathy and compromise in resolving the conflicts. So this is how the conflicts got resolved or settled down in the play The Boy Comes Home. Now, the next second question for 10 marks. The Boy Comes Home is a play about generation gap. This is a very important question. This question may get repeated. Boys or and girls, I mean to say, dear students. It's quite routine habit in the classroom, right? The Boy Comes Home is a light comedy. The title of the play shows that a boy, Philip, returns from France at the end of the Second World War after fighting against Germany. Philip is about 23 or 3 years old boy when comes home to his guardian, Uncle James' house in England. He's a mature boy and very much depressed after the Second World War was ended. He hates tough army life and now he wants to enjoy his life freely. He had served the army for 4 years. When he went to fight against Germany, he was an immature boy of just 19-year old. Question may appear how old he was when he went to army. Just 19 years old. He lacked confidence and courage that time. At that time, he was unaware of the problems of practical life. His late father left for his large property, but he could not acquire it until he reaches the age of 25. He should be 25, then only he can get property. After fighting against Germany, he had become a mature boy. Moreover, he was free to do any work. So, it was because of the effect of war that Philip had become a changed person. The generation gap is the major theme of the play. Uncle James is a representative of the old generation, and Philip is a representative of the young generation. Philip wants to think, work, and act according to his own will, while Uncle James has set some rules in his house. He doesn't like his rude and bad attitude which Philip has. Philip demands Philip demands money that his father has left for him, but his uncle does not give him until the age of 25 years. Until he reaches the age of 25, Uncle James desires that Philip should join his business should join his business while Philip wants to be an architect. After the dream scene, Uncle James becomes a changed person, but Uncle James and Philip develop a healthy relations later. The greatest value of the new generation is freedom and independence. To maintain and guard freedom, the new generation has fought 4 years long war, hence they prefer freedom to all other values. The greatest value of the old generation is obedience and respect for elders. Mr. James is a symbolic character who is upholding the old values and social traditions. The point emphasized by the author is that even good social values and traditions become taboos and a burden on society when blindly followed, when a sense is taken out of them. It is, in fact, a conflict between tradition and modernity that goes on side by side in all ages. So, the generation gap is an important theme in this play, and Uncle James represents the old generation, Philip represents the new generation. Philip would like to work and act independently, whereas Uncle James has given rules in his house. So this is how we find here the generation gap between the uncle and nephew, Mr. Philip. Now we are moving to the okay. All right, all right. So these were the questions. These were the questions for yeah. So far we have discussed here the questions, the 30 marks questions from the play. The boy comes home. Now we are going to have the discussion from the speeches. So you need to opt here out of 4 questions. You need to opt here only 2 questions. Speeches has the have the weightage for 10 marks, each question for 5 marks. So what was Gandhi's famous call to nation? How did the Indians respond to it? Gandhiji declared his famous call to nation saying, "Do or die," which should become a chant across the country for people to give their all in the fight against the British. Gandhi gave a mantra, "Do or die." He further says that our pledge should be either to free India or die in this attempt and not to live to see the endurance of our slavery. He appealed every congressman and woman to join the struggle with an inflexible determination not to remain alive to see the country in bondage and slavery. So you can refer to Gandhi's speech video for more detail. Further, Gandhiji mentions that let every man and woman live every moment of his life or her life hereafter in the consciousness that he or she eats or lives for achieving freedom and will die, if need be, to attain that goal. Take a pledge with God and your own conscience as witness that you will no longer rest till freedom is achieved and will be prepared to lay down your lives in the attempt to achieve it. He who loses his life will gain it. He who will seek to save it shall lose it. Freedom is not for the coward or for the faint hearted, in the words of Mahatma Gandhi. Question number 2. Very important question for the examination. This is a repeated question in all the last 2 years examination. What are Abdul Kalam's 3 visions for India? The speech was delivered by former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, on 25th May 2011 at IIT Hyderabad, India. Dr. Kalam mentions 3 visions for India. He says that in 3,000 years of our history, people from all over the world have come and invaded us, captured our lands, conquered our minds. From Alexander onwards, the Greeks, the Turks, the Mughals, and the Portuguese, the British, the French, the Dutch, all of them came and looted us, took over what was ours. Yet we have not done this to any other nation. So we have Dr. Kalam has 3 visions here. The first vision, he says, freedom. We have not conquered anyone. We have not grabbed the land, the culture, the history, and tried to enforce our way of life on them because we respect the freedom of others. Hence, his first vision is that of freedom. He believes that India got its first vision of freedom in 1857 when we started the war of independence. It is this freedom that we must protect and nurture and build on If we are not free, no one will respect us. Second vision. Speaking on his second vision, Dr. Kalam further mentions that we have 10% growth rate in most of the areas. Our poverty levels are falling. Our achievements are being globally recognized today. Yet, we lack the self-confidence to see ourselves as a developed nation, self-reliant and self-assured. So he mentions his second vision for India as development. He says that for 50 years we have been a developing nation. It is the time we see ourselves as a developed nation. We are among top 5 nations in the world in terms of GDP. So the second vision is here development. Third vision, India must stand up to the world. Further, Dr. Kalam mentions the third vision for India, and it is here India must stand up to the world. He believes that unless India stands up to the world, no one will respect us. Only strength respects strength. We must be strong not only as a military power, but also as an economic power. Both must go hand in hand. Dr. Kalam feels luck to have worked with three great minds: Dr. Vikram Sarabhai of the Department of Space, Professor Satish Dhawan, who succeeded him, and Dr. Brahma Prakash, father of nuclear material. He considers this the great opportunity of his life. So these are the three visions of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Last question from the speeches. What does Sarojini Naidu say about the need for boldness in women? Speaking on the boldness of women, she talks about how some narrow-minded people criticize women's education. She reminds them of the heroic stories and the scriptures of India, highlighting that it was a privilege for India to have women who were braver and bolder than men. Even today, she believes Indian women should be bold and fight for a better future for the country, just like Savitri did when she went to Yama to ask for her husband's life. She questions why people honor women like Chand Bibi and Ahilya Bai for the bravery if they criticize women for being strong and independent. She encourages people to read the Mahabharata and Ramayana, which tell stories of brave women who fought alongside their husbands in wars and survived in difficult situations. So these are the 40 marks questions from the unit 1, from the part 1. Now we are going to have discussion of the rest of the 20 marks questions from the part 2, which has speaking and writing skill. So here you have very first question for the 5 marks, where you need to prepare the PPT slides, right? PowerPoint presentation slides. So you have here two types of questions to prepare the PowerPoint presentation slide. First question is here, you have to read the passage, and based from this passage, you need to collect the information and you need to transfer that information into the PowerPoint slide. So you can go through this passage, you can pause the video, read the passage, and from this passage, I prepared the PPT slides something like this. So you need to make the boxes, slide 1, slide 2, title, subtitle. You need to divide the content into the sub slides or the sub themes, and you need to write in this manner for the 5 marks questions. And this is how, if you can decorate your slide with a pencil, color pencil, or the maybe black pencil, blue pen, etc., you can give a good color and you can decorate it. You can also draw the image if you are very good in drawing, so that you will get good marks. So this is the one type of questions you'll be getting here. In option to this, if you don't want to attempt this question by reading the passage and preparing slides, then you have one more option. You will be having a demonstrative presentation on how to prepare a bread sandwich. Means to say, you have to prepare the slide where you need to give the steps of any of the instructions. So here you have a question, how to prepare a bread sandwich. So you need to give the steps here. Slide 1, topic. Slide 2, steps. Slide 3 also, which are the different steps. I could not do the further because it's again like I don't know how to prepare sandwich first of all. So I could gather only this much of information. So this is called demonstrative. So for example, I'll ask you, a question may appear, how to use ATM card in the ATM machine. So demonstrating means to say you give a demonstration. So slide wise, you need to mention the steps. So I would suggest you to draw the images. If you draw image, your slide will become more impressive. So this is a PowerPoint presentation content writing for 5 marks. Next question you have here, paragraph writing. So here you'll be having three types of paragraphs, right? Three types of paragraph, and based on the outlines, you need to develop a paragraph. So here you have first paragraph about a person. You need to describe a person, descriptive paragraph. So here you need to describe Mr. Srujan, who is a principal of a college. So outline is given. Based on the outline, you can describe Mr. Srujan, right? Or you have one more choice here. A blood donation camp is being organized. Now narrative paragraph. So you need to narrate that how it happened, when was it happened. So you have the hints here. You can prepare the passage, you can prepare a paragraph, and don't forget to give the title. Your title has the marks. If you write the title, you'll be getting 1 mark. Then again you have an option here, comparative paragraph, like living in a big city versus staying in a village, right? EV vehicle versus fuel based vehicle. Okay, so this is how the paragraph writing questions will appear, where you'll be having three choices. I think it's uh, too many, lot of choice you have here. So you can attempt any one, whichever you feel comfortable, write without any grammatical error. So 5 marks questions, paragraph writing. Now the next question you have here, letter writing. Okay, letter writing. And here you'll be given here three letters, and out of three letters, you need to select one letter. Again, here you have lottery. You have three questions, select only one. So the question is here, you are Rishabh Gupta, staying so and so place, and your son is student of class 2. During the holidays, he is interested in joining the reputable film institute. Write a letter to the director to get the information. It's called here inquiry letter. So when you're writing inquiry letter, you follow the format. This is the sender's name, address, date, receiver's designation and address, salutation, dear sir, madam, subject inquiry about short-term filmmaking course, then the body of the letter, then thanking note, complimentary close, yours faithfully, name and signature. So you can pause the video and you can go through the body of the letter. Second question you have here, write a letter to Miss Lal Stationery Mart in order for the essential stationery products. So it's an order letter. You are placing an order. So again, sender's name, address, date, and manager. I'm sorry, there's a mistake here. Don't use comma after this, right? Please don't use comma here. I I could not delete it. So it's a typo error. Dear sir, madam, subject order for essential stationery products. So when you are placing in an order, it's important you should mention the quantity. Either you can give the numbers or you can draw the table also. You can draw the table also, but don't give in a descriptive manner. Better to give numberings or to write a table. So you can pause the video and go through the content for the placing an order letter writing. And another one you have here, it's a complaint letter. It's a complaint letter that you got a color printer online and the printer has some defect. So you need to write a complaint letter where you are requesting them to replace it or refund it. So again, sender's name, address, date, customer service department, company name, dear sir, madam, subject complaint regarding incorrect product delivery. Then you mention which order number, which was the receipt number, and how do you want it to resolve it. Yours sincerely, again, there's a mistake here, no comma after yours sincerely, after yours faithfully. So this is the left margin format I used here. Some students, they asked me that why can't we write the sender's address in the center margin? You can write, because there's no hard and fast rule, because many companies they have different letterheads. So some companies they put and their company's name address on the center margin, some on left margin or the right margin. So the ideal format is the left margin format because it has less punctuation. So this is the letter writing for 5 marks with lot of choices. Now we are moving to the last section of the question paper, 5 marks advertisement writing. So you are Amarnath of 26, Naisarak, New Delhi, you have recently constructed a house and you want to give it for to let column. So to let and some instructions you give here, right? Which are the facilities you have and the contact number. This is the advertisement writing. You can watch my special videos on letter writing, advertisement writing, and presentation, how to prepare the slides. All those videos links you will get in the description box. If you look into the in the description box, you will get all the lessons, summary, question answers, even the novel summary, question answers, grammar, presentation, brochure writing, all the videos links you will get in the description box. So easily, I'll definitely you will get the best marks if you watch my videos. Okay. Then second question. So first question you have here, advertisement writing. This is the answer for to let. Then second question you have here. Sorry. Yeah. You are the school captain at MV School, Vasantnagar, CB-Pur. Your school is organizing one-day blood donation camp. Prepare a poster. So when you prepare a poster, generally, what do we mention? We mention the company name or the college name or the organization name, the title of the camp, date, time, venue, reason, what's the eligibilities here, whom should they contact, and draw some image. If you draw the image, I'm telling you, you'll be getting 5 out of 5. If you won't draw the image, 1 mark will be reduced. So there's a poster designing. Next question is here brochure. Brochure for intercollegiate quiz and poster making competition. So it's a simple answer. It's a simple answer because creativity has no end. So it's just a sample answer here. When you write a brochure, especially for the college competition, you write the college name, QR code, and the list of the events, price, whom should they contact, and what's the date, etc. Then afterwards in each page you need to mention the brief information about each and every event. So what will I suggest you in the examination? Either you attempt the poster writing or the advertisement writing. That's a ideal choice, I would say, for this last section. So my dear friends, this is how I have tried to solve the third semester BA question paper of Bangalore North University Feb March examination 2024. This question paper can be an practice paper for the Bangalore University students also, because 99.99% syllabus is similar. So dear BNE students, I wish you good luck for the examination which you have tomorrow, and uh, stay tuned with my channel, because in the fourth semester again we are going to meet, and the fourth semester videos are already on my channel. So wish you good luck. See you very soon. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe if you have not yet done it. They will to subscribe ಮಾಡಿ.